Hello, if you're just starting to contribute to the KDE community with programming, here are some ideas on how to create a merge request in less than 2 hours. First of all, you should have gone through all of the procedure how to start programming for KDE, which also includes that you have installed kde-builder, you can build KDE Git repositories, and then that you can also create merge requests. You have GitLab accounts for KDE's invent.kde.org. So let's look first a bit at the prerequisites at the things that you need to have accomplished so far. So first of all, you need to have programmed before. Then you will need some online accounts. The most important is an email account. In here I give an example on how to create, for instance, a Gmail account. I recommend that you have an email account that's dedicated just for contributing to the KDE community and for your other open source contributions. I prefer Gmail, and I say that in the name of the email address, so in the part before the @ there should be your full preferred first name. So if your preferred first name is Walter, then the entire word Walter should be in your email address. Using this email address, you will need to create an account on the site called identity.kde.org, and that will also give you access to the GitLab installation that we have, which is called invent.kde.org. You might need to set up two-factor authentication. You might need to create SSH keys for being able to do git push. So to write to the KDE Git repositories using the git command line. You should have an Matrix username account, and then you should join the KDE community space in Matrix, the KDE new contributors Matrix room, and maybe also other additional Matrix rooms. Okay. You might want to join some mailing lists or not. You might want to also create a GitHub account using this exact same email address. And maybe you're also going to need a KDE Bugzilla account. But creating online accounts is a parallel track. It will take you a number of days, and while you're waiting for email accounts and other accounts to get created or to be configured, you're going to do other parallel tracks at the same time. Maybe you're going to postpone creating some online accounts until the moment that you actually need them. The other parallel track is to improve your knowledge of Linux. Some of the people that start contributing to the KDE community as programmers have never installed Linux on their own hardware. Maybe they have used it a bit in high school or in university, and their knowledge of Linux can be limited. So you should start investing in learning Bash and Linux and the Git command line. You should start if your own hardware is AMD 64 x86 64, and for instance, you're using the operating system Windows, you can start by installing the virtualization software Oracle VM VirtualBox, and then create some virtual machines with various Linux operating systems. Okay, you will need to improve your knowledge of the C programming language. Maybe you have only programmed in, I don't know, Python and JavaScript before. And if you don't not know enough C++, then at least learning the C programming language is a minimum. So again, the prerequisite was that you have programmed before, so you know how to program, you know how recursivity works, you know how sub-algorithms, functions, methods, objects work, you know how data structures work, you know how sorting works, you know a ton of things, how to use a debugger, how to use an integrated development environment, but maybe you just do not know the C++ programming language or not enough. And if you want to improve your C++ programming language knowledge, in my opinion, the first thing that you should learn as well as possible is the C programming language, because C also acts as a sub component of the C++ programming language. And then you should, after you know enough of the C programming language, including pointers, you can start learning the C++ programming language. You can start learning the Qt framework, because this is what we use. Learn about Qt widgets, learn about Qt QML, and bonus points if you can start learning about the KDE frameworks. So this is a parallel track. This might take you years to get to have most of the knowledge that's just put into this step to paragraph. Most probably, when you program for the KDE community, you're going to use the Linux operating system, and when you mean the Linux operating system, you probably also will require your own hardware, so not something from that you can use only a number of hours per week, as for instance in your university or a cloud solution or something, but your own hardware, your own laptop or desktop computer. And that thing, you will probably want to be using the CPU instruction set architecture, Intel x86-64, AMD 64. So not Apple Silicon. You will probably install Linux on your hardware computer or in a virtual machine if your hardware computer is only running the Windows operating system and you want to not install Linux instead of Windows, or Linux and Windows at the same time in dual boot mode on the same computer, or Linux on one NVMe and Windows on another NVMe, and you just select from which one you want to boot at boot time. We have in the KDE Git repositories most of the source code for our KDE graphical user interface applications and KDE libraries is written in the C++ programming language. The compilation times will be long. They will require a ton of CPU power, massive amounts of random access memory, and also significant amounts of NVMe, hard disk, SSD storage. If you have better hardware, the C++ build times will shrink. Okay, I talked about Apple Silicon. If possible, make sure that your hardware is well supported by Linux if you want to run Linux on your hardware machine, not in a virtual machine. If you cannot, again, if you cannot install Linux on your hardware machine, it's okay if you install it in a virtual machine, but then make the virtual machine beefy. Like I would recommend at least 200 gigabytes of virtual hard disk and at least 6 gigabytes of random access memory. And at least 6 vCPUs, CPU threads. You might get away with fewer resources, but then build times will be significantly slower. And the virtual machines will have significantly slower build times compared to just running Linux on the hardware computer. Next up, we want to follow the procedure on how to start programming for the KDE community. That's being this thing, the KDE official homepage. There's this hamburger menu or the main menu, depending on how wide your web browser is. And then you go get involved. And in here you select development. So this page is about how to install the build framework KDE-builder, which again requires the Linux operating system. And that will allow you to read from the KDE Git repositories and build software on your computer. And then the second part is to do changes on the Git repositories that you have on your computer, create a Git commit locally, create a merge request towards the KDE Git repositories, which are using the GitLab Forge. And that will allow you to write to the KDE Git repositories. Okay, so the chapter skills talks about the parallel track 2, where you learn more about Linux, Bash, Git, C, C++, Qt, QML, Qt frameworks, KDE frameworks, Qt widgets. Okay, and then the chapter operating system says that yes, we will install KDE Builder, yes, we will use a Linux operating system, and the question is, which Linux operating system? And the ones that we recommend are Arch Linux, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, Linux operating systems that use the rolling release model, or could be Fedora KDE. The next step is to set up KDE Builder because you have the hardware, you have the Linux operating system. Now it's time for installing the build framework KDE-builder. We have videos on how to set things up. You can complement whatever is in the procedure as text with the video tutorials. What will KDE Builder do? So it's a command line executable that knows how to do two things. Knows how to build just one KDE Git repositories without really considering the dependencies. And then it knows which dependencies that KDE Git repository has. So for instance, a graphical user interface application like KCalc can be built in isolation from other KDE Git repositories, but then KDE Builder will tell you that kcalc depends on the KDE framework extra CMake modules ECM, on the KDE framework kconfig and other modules. And by default, KDE Builder will build all of these dependency KDE Git repositories, and only at the final step will build a KDE Git repository for kcalc. So it knows dependencies, it knows how to build correctly one module. We're going to install KDE Builder. We run these 3 command lines. We make sure the path environment variable contains ~/.local/bin. You check this by like this, echo $path. ~/.local/bin is included by default in the path environment variable if this directory exists and you reboot the computer in the Linux operating systems from the family Debian Ubuntu. On other families, on Arch, OpenSUSE, and Fedora, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, there's different possibilities. A simple way to add this directory to the path environment variable is to edit the configuration file ~/.bashrc if you're using bash. Next up, so this will git clone the KDE Git repository invent.kde.org/sdk/KDE builder. This will create the configuration file, which is ~/.config/kde-builder.yaml. Then you're going to install the packages from your Linux operating system that are needed by kcalc, for instance, the KDE Git repository. But these packages are just for Qt and other dependencies, not for KDE modules. All of the KDE modules will be built by KDE Builder from source from Git. Everything else that's not KDE will be installed by this command line from binary packages from your Linux operating system. And now the first incantation. So up until now, you have just installed KDE Builder. This is the first time that you're actually using KDE Builder. Let's see how this thing works. You can copy paste, right click copy, and then right click paste in a terminal. It's going to build 28 Git repository, most of which are from invent.kde.org. So all of the KDE Git repositories reside on invent.kde.org, but there's some Git repositories that are not from the KDE community. There's, in this case, third-party Wayland minus protocols and third-party Wayland. But most of the rest come from the KDE community. So there's 27 Git repositories that KDE Builder knows are dependencies of the Git repository kcalc. And then KDE Builder knows how to build each of these correctly. So KDE Builder first computes the list of dependencies, the correct order to build, and then builds each of these modules correctly. So we're at module 14 out of 28, so that's halfway through. We're going to wait for KDE Builder to finish building all of the dependencies, all of the KDE frameworks that kcalc depends on, all of the KDE libraries that kcalc depends on, and then including the kcalc Git repository as the final module, which is the 28th out of 28. So the KDE Git repository kcalc was git cloned correctly by KDE-builder and compiled and installed correctly. At this point, you should start learning how to use KDE Builder. You should learn the command line parameters of KDE Builder, which are these. The way I use it is like this. I edit the configuration file /.config/kde-builder.yaml. I make sure that the CMake build type is debug because I actually use the C++ debugger, GDB, and then the debugger in various integrated development environments such as Qt Creator, and build Python bindings off because I just want the modules to build a bit faster. And there's no actual KDE Git repositories that use the Python bindings. They're exposed by KDE libraries, but not used by final applications. We're at the step where we have built KDE using KDE Builder kcalc. Next up, we want to run an application that we have just compiled, such as the kcalc graphical user interface application, which is this one. At this point, I make sure that the application behaves and looks correctly, should use the correct icon, should have the correct theming, so there should be no accelerators underlined below the dot, below these H uppercase from help in this case. The colors should be, the color scheme should be correct. The Breeze Qt widgets theme should be applied. Should blend in with the rest of the applications that you have installed from your Linux operating system and are KDE applications. Okay, the applications built using KDE Builder should look very similar to the ones that you have already pre-installed on your Linux operating system, because as a prerequisite, you should be running the KDE Plasma desktop environment in your Linux operating system when developing for the KDE community. If the theming is not perfectly correct, that's because the KDE Git repository Plasma integration was not built yet, and you're using a different Qt version from the one in your Linux operating system. I actually do build both Plasma - integration and frameworks often, even if they are 80 KDE Git repositories. So it will take a while to build all of these, but then the application kcalc in this example will run as correctly as possible. In this way, most of the files that are used by kcalc when it starts and then when it runs, most of the files that are from the KDE community will come from ~kd/kd/usr directory, not from the /usr directory. So /usr meaning files installed from binary packages from your Linux operating system, whereas ~kd/kd/usr is the directory where KDE Builder installs files while it builds all of these KDE Git repositories. And it looks like this. ~kd is the default directory that we use for KDE Builder. And then in subdirectories in here, there's src, where the individual Git repositories are Git clones, such as kcalc. This is just a clean Git clone of the kcalc Git repository, nothing else. And then build artifacts and generated files and other ingredients for compiling and building everything related to kcalc will be in another directory tilde/kd/build/kcalc. For instance, this is the final build executable kcalc, but then this executable is going to be installed in a similar way to installing it into /usr, but we're not going to pollute /usr. /usr is just for packages, binary packages from your Linux operating system. And also installing to /usr requires that you provide a sudo password. kde-builder doesn't ever require a sudo password except for installing binary packages from your Linux operating system. And kde-builder should just work in just one directory, tilde/kd, so a subdirectory in your home directory. Whenever you don't need kde-builder any longer, you should just delete this directory, tilde/kd. There's one exception. If you want to build the entire KDE Plasma desktop environment using kde-builder, and you want the session, Wayland session and the X11 session of that entire KDE Plasma desktop that you have installed in tilde/kd/usr to be presented in your desktop manager, which is SDDM. That's the case where kde-builder actually puts a file in /usr. But if you're not building the KDE Plasma desktop, you're not going to get there. And this is how tilde/kd/usr looks like. For instance, the kcalc graphical user interface executable application file is in tilde/kd/usr/kcalc, this file. You can just double click on it and it will start. It will not start correctly. As you can see it in here, it uses the wrong theme. There's accelerators, underlines under characters in the main menu. The theming, the buttons don't look correct. So this is how buttons should look like, more rounded. And let's see other cute widgets. So checkboxes should use blue, should have a different color when you hover on top of the checkbox. The check mark thing should look different, more wide, less pixelated. The group boxes should use a different background color. So this is the wrong theming, and this is the correct theming. In order to run kcalc really correctly, it's not enough to just double click on tilde/kd/usr/bin/kcalc. You should actually run it using kde-builder space --run space the name of the module, which is kcalc. Or there's another way of doing it, which is there's a file that can be used if your shell is bash and it's in the build directory. So tilde/kd/build, for instance, in the kcalc directory, the file is named prefix.sh. So first you source tilde/kd/build/kcalc/prefix.sh, where kcalc is the name of the module that we want to run, or it doesn't really matter. The content of the file prefix.sh is the same in all of the subdirectories of tilde/kd/build. And then you can run kcalc in different command lines, in the same command line, and now we can see that there's no underline accelerators on the main menu. There's this effect on mouse hover, and the checkboxes look the way we expect them to look like. Okay, what source prefix.sh does, let's actually see. We can look inside this file, we can cut it. It looks like this. We can open it with a text editor, like this. So it just sets some environment variables into the currently running bash shell process. And then once you have sourced and set these environment variables, you can actually look and inspect the environment variables in the current bash process and make sure that the correct values exist in these environment variables. For instance, you can go echo and $manpath. And this should be the value ~kd/usr/share/man, which is correct. And then whatever this thing is, us/usr/share/man. Okay. In here, I have actually sourced twice. So you should actually just source the file once. I saw that because I had in the manpath environment variable this directory ~kd/usr/share/man twice. Okay, so all of the Plasma integration has been built, which means all of the dependencies that make the kcalc executable run and behave correctly. So there's Qt widgets themes, there's icon themes, there's some connections that make the kcalc executable actually respect the settings that you have configured in your system settings application. So color schemes, mouse cursor themes, etc. Okay, so we're at this point. Next up, I actually run the application again. Make sure it's themed correctly. And then I'm going to build the last module, which is frameworks, which is not actually a module, but a set of KDE Git repositories. There's 80 of them. Most, 40 of them have already been built when I have run KDE builder plasma minus integration. So just 40 remain to be built. KDE minus builder by default doesn't do a full rebuild, but it does incremental building. So KDE builder tries to be as fast as possible and still not create incorrectly compiled files. If there's new Git commits in one of the Git repositories that are part of these 80 Git repositories, for instance, then it will do Git operations on that repository. So it will do git fetch, git rebase origin master, and then it will do the building. So the building consists of the CMake configure step, the Ninja, which is actually compiling, and then Ninja install, which takes files from ~kd/build/kcalc and puts them in ~kd/usr directory. Okay, so while this is building, let me introduce you to my YouTube videos. Similar to the way you're seeing this YouTube video, I have many more YouTube videos related to how to start programming for the KDE community. I have this page where I say how I view the way people should start programming for KDE. This is not the view of the KDE community. This is just my opinion. This is not a KDE document. This document is not on the KDE wiki. This is just my opinion and posted on my Google Drive. And the way I do it is, as you see in here, I have actually committed to program for the KDE community 2 hours per week, each week for years. And I have started in April 2022, so that's 3 years and a half. Let's go back. So I'm going to use the shortcuts OS for operating systems, VM for virtual machine, CPU for central processing unit. This is my YouTube channel at nmariusp. These are my videos. I have also contributed to the KDE wiki, community.kde.org. I have my share of merge requests. Next up, I want to tell you how I think you should watch my YouTube videos related to programming for KDE. So what you see right now is a monitor that has the resolution 1080p. So that's 1920 by 1080 pixels. This is the way I record my screen recordings, and I do my YouTube videos. You need to have the way of being able to read fonts in my YouTube videos. So for that, I recommend that you download the video in 720p resolution. My videos are uploaded to YouTube in 1080p resolution. And then make sure that you're not using a really small, tiny screen, such as a mobile phone or a very small tablet. Use a screen where my fonts are can be read correctly. And I recommend that you actually look at my YouTube videos on a laptop monitor or on a desktop computer monitor. The bigger, the better. And I actually recommend that you download the YouTube video, one of these, for instance, and then you play them back on your desktop computer using your favorite desktop video player. I prefer SM Player, but there's also other options, MPV, VLC, etc. And I make it such that the video takes the right half of my screen. Let's see how that would look like. So now the video takes half of my screen, and I have configured SM Player to not show any Chrome, so just contents, which means I'm using compact mode Ctrl+C. Video, compact mode Ctrl+C. Hopefully you can read the fonts. Okay, so right half would be the video, and I call the right half of the screen doc, so documentation. The left half of the screen, I call it work, and it's where you're opening inside the web browsers the URLs that I open. You read the wiki pages and web pages that I read. You open the terminal if I say a command line. So for instance, we will need to run kde-builder space minus minus run space kcalc, and that will require that you have again the video, the screen recording YouTube video on the right half of the screen, and on the left half of the screen you should have a terminal such as console, and then you run that command line there. You cannot copy paste from a YouTube video, yes, but you can pause the YouTube video. There's, for instance, the keyboard key space to pause in VLC and in MPV and in SM Player. You pause the screen recording. You should learn how to seek in the video using just the arrow keys for left and right. 1 second, 10 seconds, 1 minute. And then once you can see the text that you should, that I write or I present on the screen in my screen recording, then you should actually self-dictate the text to yourself and execute the command lines that I say. Learning is a ton about finger memory, about running things with your fingers on your keyboard. You should type a lot when you learn how to program. Okay, so I say that you should be able to pause the video using the key space or some other key. You should know how to make the video take half of the screen. You should know how to seek using the keyboard keys. This is the way I download videos. I'm using YT-DLP. And inside my videos, you can either go to the videos tab and look at the newest in there. Maybe there's an interesting video that you want to look. So there's some videos related to programming for KDE and some which are totally not related. So this one, WinNCP, is not related to programming for KDE. kde-builder with Qt installed using Qt Online Installer is about programming for KDE. Visual Studio 2026 is not really about programming for KDE, but it comes in handy if you want to build KDE Git repositories for the Windows operating system. How to install Windows 11 Pro is useful if your host operating system, so the operating system that you have installed on hardware, is Linux, and you want to have a Windows 11 virtual machine. The best virtualization software in Linux is called Virt Manager, and this is the way you would install Windows 11 as a virtual machine in Virt Manager. Why would you want a Windows 11 virtual machine? For instance, maybe you want to check that applications built by the KDE community for the Windows operating system work correctly. Or maybe you want to build yourself KDE applications for Windows. There's kde-builder on Arch Linux related to KDE, JetBrains Toolbox related to KDE, Postmarket OS not related to contribute to KDE, OpenHV is a game, KDE Neon. Yes, you might use the Linux operating system KDE Neon for contributing to KDE, so might be related. Nitrux not related. Arch Linux how to install snap apps related, because you might want to test how the KDE applications packaged as snaps work on Arch Linux. Maybe there's Arch Linux specific issues in the way we package applications for the KDE community in the Snap Store. KDE Kate how to use for C programming, not really related. Qt Creator, very related to contributing to the KDE community, because in my opinion you should have used kde-builder for at least 10 hours, and you should know how to use Qt Creator correctly with kde-builder and have used it for at least 10 hours. So do know how to open each and every KDE Git repository that you build using kde-builder in Qt Creator. Do know how to debug it, how to navigate source code, how to collapse source code, how to view source code, how to go to definition, how to search for a symbol, etc. and all of the other features that exist in Qt Creator, which is an integrated development environment, which is specifically created for C++ Qt framework by the Qt organization. Fast KDE development crazy is about contributing to the KDE community. FreeBSD 15, how to install KDE Plasma is, because you might want to see if you can build correctly KDE applications on the operating system FreeBSD, which is not a Linux operating system. Snap is about contributing to the KDE community. Fedora KDE 43, how to install, is about how to contribute to the KDE community. Aggregator versus Alligator is about how to contribute to the KDE community. KDE Qt widgets tutorial is about. OpenSUSE Tumbleweed is about. How to automate boot Linux in QEMU is about the KDE software named KDE Linux. So there's a project named KDE Linux, which is an operating system from the KDE community. KDE Linux how to install and use is about. kde-builder is about. How to debug a KDE library in Qt Creator is about. Debian 13 KDE Plasma is about. JetBrains tool CLine for KDE development is about. Qt Creator QML Designer is not. KDE Apps QWidgets versus QML is about. KDevelop for kde-builder is not about. KDE Apps how to improve upstream is about. How to start programming for KDE. Fedora 42 codecs might be about. F-Droid is about. Android KDE Apps is about. Qt Creator is about. Waydroid is about. Reddit /r/KDE is about. How to search code, source code across KDE projects is about. Flatpak is about. How to create app images is about. Android emulator is about. JetBrains Toolbox is about. KDE Craft is about. KDE Apps as Flatpaks is about. macOS, yes, there's a possibility that your hardware is AMD 64, x86 64 only, and your host operating system is Linux. In this case, you might have some chance, you might make it to install macOS correctly in QEMU. Once you have a macOS virtual machine, you can help by testing the builds that the KDE community does for KDE applications for macOS. Do they run correctly? Do they unpack correctly? Do they work on older operating systems? Do they work on newer operating systems? How to start programming for KDE. Homebrew is about KDE Linux. Nix shell is about KDE Linux. Ubuntu kde-builder, yes, it is. How to edit a KDE Plasma widget is about. Snap Store KDE apps is about. How to install OpenBSD KDE Plasma is about. Fedora KDE Plasma Mobile is about. PVS Studio is about. And that's an entire year, the year 2025 of my YouTube videos related to how to start contributing to the KDE community. Okay, I repeat my topics in the sense that you might see the same video, but one created this year and one created 2 years ago. For instance, if you search for KDE-builder, there's multiple videos, and I recommend that you sort them descending by date. So you always look at the newest video first, even if the title seems better. So even if your Linux operating system is Arch Linux, you should still prefer the KDE-builder video that's not about Arch Linux, but that's 1 year newer from November 2025, and that uses another Linux operating system. So in this case, you're in luck because there's KDE Builder plus Arch Linux from December 2025 and November 2024. I have the month and year in the video title, so do prefer the one that's newer. You can eventually look at the one that's newer first and then go and look at the one that's older. The videos are not perfectly identical, but the one that's newer uses the newest technologies. So I have YouTube videos about how to install various Linux operating systems on real hardware or on virtual machines. I have videos on how to set up KDE Builder on various Linux operating systems, how to contribute to the KDE community using other operating systems than Linux. There's FreeBSD, OpenBSD, Windows, macOS, etc. There's even more operating systems if you're interested into porting KDE software to other operating systems. There's, NetBSD. There's the BOS Continuator Haiku operating system. Let's see what else do we have. And then I have videos about how to start programming in general. For instance, you can search by start. And then I have videos about what I'm talking about today, which is how to create a merge request in less than 2 hours. Okay, so now you should be armed with a ton of YouTube videos. My YouTube videos don't skip steps and are of the type all that I know about a topic. Okay, so we were at this command line KDE-builder frameworks that worked correctly. 80 modules out of 80 have been built correctly. And then we're running kcalc1 final time with the as good as possible dependencies and files taken from tilde/kd/usr directory, not from /usr, if the files are related to the KDE community. Okay, so that's about how to install kde-builder correctly and how to build many KDE Git repositories. Again, you should learn more of the kde-builder's command line possibilities and command line parameters, because this will be needed as we progress. Armed with this, you can already contribute a ton. For instance, you can build a large number of KDE Git repositories. If one doesn't build, you can ask around, should this module not build? I'm getting this error. Maybe there's an issue the way you have configured kde-builder. Maybe this is a recent regression, because all of the KDE Git repositories should just build by default. They should all use the Git master branch, and Git master branch should build at all times. And this is most about the part where you just read from KDE Git repositories. Next up will be how to write to KDE Git repositories. There's one more thing that we want to do, which is learn how to use the integrated development environment Qt Creator. And we actually want to have at least 10 hours of experience after we learn how to use Qt Creator correctly, but really correctly. So do learn how to use Qt Creator really correctly. Do learn how to build a Git repository, KDE Git repository using kde-builder, and then load it correctly in Qt Creator. Do all of the possible things in Qt Creator about that KDE Git repository, and then continue doing this for at least 10 hours. So do learn how to use correctly, and then do use it for at least 10 hours. Even if you hate Qt Creator, even if you just don't like it, even if you just prefer Visual Studio Code or something else, you should have 10 hours of using really correctly Qt Creator. After that, you're going to graduate, you know how to use Qt Creator, and you want to use something better, not a problem, but you should have this 10 hours block of experience with Qt Creator. So let's see how that works. You go to my YouTube channel and you search for Start. You search for Creator. The newest is from November 2025. There's another one from June 2025, December 2022, September 2024. This one from December 2022. There's plenty of resources on how to install Qt Creator correctly, but I'm going to still show you the steps. My wiki page, nmariusp.github.io. Open the final URL, this one, community.kde.org/user:nmariusp. There's a page in here for Qt Creator, and then you follow all of these steps. I have created an online account at qt.io. Remember that there's one parallel step where you're creating online accounts, and there's this paragraph here. Using this email account, you create an account on bugs.kde.org, an account on qt.io in order to download the latest version of the integrated development environment Qt Creator. Then you follow the steps to download this executable, which is called Qt Online Installer, ends with .run. Make it executable, for instance, using chmod plus x. You should learn what chmod plus x does, because you have the parallel track step 2, where you learn how to use bash and Linux. So if you know bash and Linux, then you know what chmod plus x does. You know why the relative path // is required if you want to run this file. This is a graphical user interface application, has a wizard. You click next, next, next. It will require that you provide your username and password that you have created at this step for the Qt.io online account. And then in there, you're selecting Qt Creator from the packages. Okay, do look in my YouTube videos. Again, the preferred YouTube video here is this one, Qt Creator November 2025. Make sure that you have KDE Builder installed. Make sure that KDE Builder has this setting in the configuration file, cmake build type equals debug, such that we don't have C++ optimizations in the compiled binaries, and that we have full debug symbols. Then we're building a KDE Git repository such as this one, kcalc, and then we're opening this file tilde/kd/build/kcalc/cmake-cache.txt using Qt Creator. So let's see how that works. Using the Qt Online installer, you have installed Qt Creator. Now you have in your Linux start menu in KDE Plasma 2 applications. There's Qt Maintenance Tool, which is extremely similar to the Qt Online installer, which allows you to do the same steps. And in here, you should have selected Qt Creator. Qt Creator is already installed, which means it's in the KDE Plasma start menu. Qt Creator. Make it use the left half of the screen. Make the documentation use the right half of the screen, such that you don't have to use Alt-Tab, for instance, to switch between applications. So this is the path of the file, tilde/kd/build, and then the name of the module that we have just built, which is kcalc, and then the name of the file is always the same, cmake-cache.txt. File, open file or project, Ctrl-V, open. It selects in here the correct Qt to use, and then you press the configure project button. The step cmake configure has been run automatically. You can see the progress in here in the tab general messages in the bottom tool window. And then you want to, for instance, build everything. Says that the command cmake -s build has finished successfully, and it was extremely fast because it did an incremental build. So the build was actually done by KDE Builder, and now we're just incrementally building using Qt Creator. You can see syntax highlighting in cmake list.txt file, in .sh files, in markdown files. You can see markdown preview. These are features that are common to many integrated development environments. But then there's also integration with .ui files that opens an integrated, so there's a special application from the Qt framework that is used to edit Qt widgets.ui files, and that application is embedded inside Qt Creator in here as the tab design Ctrl-3. Back to where we were. Syntax highlighting for JSON, collapse for JSON, .ui file. So this is how the UI looks in the human readable version, in the form with buttons and edit boxes, etc. And the actual source code is a XML format. There's this yellow bar at the top that says that this file can only be edited in the design mode, and if you press switch mode, goes to the tab design mode, Control 3. So this file is just a serialization of whatever this application wants. So do always, if you want to edit the .ui file, you should edit in here. You should drag and drop buttons, edit from the property editor, etc. And when you save, file save all, then the constants.ui file will be modified because the state of this forms editor application will be saved to constants.ui file. Do not edit the constants.ui files manually, so files with extension .ui. There's also integration for QRC files, which are Qt resource files, similar to Visual Studio .rc files. So this is a file type KCFG for a KDE framework named kconfig. And there's just regular C++ source code files, so pairs of .h and .cpp file. You can switch between header and file and cpp file like this. So right click and switch, Ctrl F2, Shift F2. So you should know how to navigate source code. There's this checkbox, this combo box that allows you to navigate inside the contents of a file. Control click on a symbol should go to its definition or declaration. So there's a .h file, it's a C programming language macro, and expands to parentheses, void, end parentheses, x, and semicolon. Okay, and you should also know how to use the debugger. Let's see how we do that. Debug, start and break on main. Application output. It has selected the correct application because we're using CMake. There's multiple executables CMake targets. We can see that in here, edit, kcalc, and then where do we see CMake targets? Instead of file system in this checkbox, select projects. This will show you the CMake targets. As executables, there's a disk target, kcalc, and then there's additional executable CMake targets for tests, such as this one, kcalc parse core test. There's a CMake target for a library and for executables, which are tests of this library, knumber. Okay, when we went from the Qt Creator main menu, debug, is it? Let's wait a bit for the application to stop. Something's wrong. How do we do that? Close all projects and editors, file, recent projects, kcalc, and debug. Whatever, there was that item to start and break on main. Which I don't know where it got lost. Okay, but I know how to debug even without that button. this is the entry point of this particular executable. So the executable is called kcalc. The entry point file is kcalc.cpp. The entry point free function is called main, the only free function in this file. The rest are methods, which are functions that are part of a class or of an object. So I go to main and I put a breakpoint at the start, for instance, on the opening curly bracket. And then I go debug and start debugging of startup project. For me, the debugger is extremely important. I program while the debugger is running. So I edit code mostly only when the debugger is running. This allows me to easily restart the debugger, to see my changes, to inspect the values of the arguments in a function, to see what the various defines do. Will the line 2931 actually be hit or not? Or will it be skipped? Let's see. So the buttons are step over, debug, step over F10, step into F11. So I'm interested to have the debugger continue inside kcalc.cpp and not jump around. So I do not want step into, I want just step over, which is F10. So that means that Qt version check 631 kicon themes was true. I'm not sure what these byte operations do. Okay, so whatever version kicon themes version has, it's greater than or equal to this thing, Qt version check. If I actually want to see this static method init theme of the object kicon theme, what it does, I can go step into F11 and I can actually go out, shift F11, and now I'm back in kcalc.cpp. There's the list of threads. Hopefully, in this case, there's just one thread, and then the stack. When we were inside init theme, there were two functions in the stack tool window. Now there's just one function, the entry point main function. Let's go into the constructor of QApplication. F11 once, F11 twice. We're actually paused inside the constructor, but we don't have the source code, so CPP files for QApplication. QApplication is from the Qt framework. We have installed Qt framework from the Linux binary packages from my Linux operating system. It was actually installed by that command line kde-builder install distro packages, which means binary packages have been installed into /usr. There's .so files, but there's no corresponding CPP files. So when we step into, we do not have the CPP file that contains the implementation, the body of the constructor of QApplication. That's why the debugger can't actually show me anything. We see that we're inside the QApplication constructor because we can see it in the stack, but it's grayed out, means we don't have CPP source code. And now we're still inside QApplication somewhere. This is how it looks like. So constructor of QApplication, and then there's a QApplication private and another private QGUI application private. In order to exit out, we're going to step out. So step out once, step out twice will be inside the constructor of QApplication, and step out a third time, we should be on, I don't know, line 2940 in kcalc.cpp. Let's see. Yes, so it stepped into line 2940 in the top-level file kcalc.cpp. Okay, this is not enough of not all of the things that you should learn about how to use Qt Creator. You should actually apply the chapters run. The chapter run. So this thing you should do exactly what I do because you want the kcalc application to run actually correctly. Let's see how we can see that the application runs incorrectly because we're not setting some environment variables, the environment variables that are part of that prefix.sh file. Let's start the application, start debugging of the startup project. And we can see that it uses the wrong theme. So that means that it's like this kcalc application doesn't find the various modules that were built when we did KDE-builder plasma-integration and were installed into tilde/KDE/USR. Because the currently running kcalc application doesn't know to find various files in tilde/KDE/USR, only looks into /USR because some environment variables are not set. Which environment variables? The ones inside prefix.sh. So these steps, what they do is they take the environment variables that are being set in prefix.sh, expand them using bash, and then the actual values of the environment variables that we extract from bash, we apply them into the Qt Creator settings. Again, I have screen recordings of this and there's text available at this wiki page. Do learn how to use Qt Creator correctly. Do learn how to open any KDE Git repository that you have built using KDE Builder. Do use Qt Creator correctly for at least 10 hours. Next up, we're continuing from this page on the procedure on how to start programming for KDE. So we have run KDE Builder install distro packages and KDE Builder kcalc. Next up, it says that from time to time you should update KDE Builder. KDE-builder is a Git repository that exists on your hard disk in tilde/.local/share/KDE-builder. Make sure that this Git repository is up to date by git fetching and git rebase origin master. You can do that, as I said, so to git operations, git fetch, git rebase origin master, or there's a command line parameter for KDE Builder, which is called -self-update, which does that automatically for you. Setting up Qt is if your Linux operating system is wrong. But again, you should use the correct Linux operating system, which is one from this list. We're going to skip setting up Qt because we're using the correct Linux operating system that has a new enough Qt version. So let's see what's next. Next up is how to write to the KDE Git repositories. The very first step that you want to do is, so right now you know how to git clone Git repositories, you're just using KDE-builder and then the name of the KDE Git repository. In order to find out the name of the KDE Git repositories, let's see how we do that. For instance, we know the name of an app. There's this handy website, apps.kde.org, and we know the name of the app is Coco. We don't find it in here. Great. So let's find an application in here. This one was Coco, but for some reason searching doesn't work. Okay, let's look at this one, kblocks. What is the GitLab Git project inside invent.kde.org for the application key blocks. You scroll a bit and it says browse source code. The URL is https://invent.kde.org/games/kblocks. And if you want to use kde-builder, we need to know the last word in this URL. So after the final slash, what comes? Kblocks. So the way to build it is kde-builder space kblocks. Kblocks all lowercase. There's all sorts of interesting capitalizations for kblocks, but the parameters that you're using for kde-builder should be all lowercase. Okay. Next up, you probably want to invent some time to learn how to use kblocks, to play a bit. It's a game. To run it correctly using kde-builder, to load it into Qt Creator and look around at the source code by running with the debugger, by going step into, by inspecting the arguments of the functions, by navigating source code. And then maybe you find an issue. Maybe you proofread all of the text that's shown in the graphical user interface as buttons and labels and the product manual page, etc. You find a misspelling there. Maybe you find a word that's English Great Britain and should be English United States instead. You fix that really small issue that you have. And the next thing that you want to do is to create one small Git commit locally and then do one merge request that only contains that small Git commit. That's the way, that should be how your first times that you write to the KDE Git repositories look like. A very small change, a very small Git commit, and a very small merge request. But in order to do the Git commit locally, you need to have access to invent.kde.org. So that's the parallel track where you create online accounts. You should create a pair of SSH keys. Make sure that SSH on your computer can talk to the SSH server, which is invent.kde.org. And that's documented over here. It says that you need to have an email address. Again, I recommend that you create an email address just for your KDE contributions or contributions to other open source projects. And in here should be your as real as possible name. So first name and last name. You want to configure either globally Git you probably want to use Git as your Linux user account. So you're having a Linux operating system installation either in a virtual machine or on your real hardware. And then you're connected to the KDE Plasma graphical user interface session with a Linux user account. And that Linux user account you're going to use for KDE contributions, which means that it's a good idea to actually do the Git configuration globally. Globally means per your Linux user account, not for the entire computer. This command line git config global will not ask for sudo permissions, but for the sudo password. Okay. Must be a human name, not a username or similar. Use the same email address that you have in GitLab. You should have created a KDE identity account such that you can have a GitLab account. And next up is how I do merge requests. So I have configured the git configurations user.name and user.email. Next up, I'm finding an issue. I'm committing it locally. So I have in one of these directories tilde/kd/src, for instance, kcalc, the two Git branches. There's the master local and the origin master, two Git branches, and they're pointing to the same Git commit. Once I do a new Git commit, that would be only local, which means the master branch will point to the new Git commit, and the origin master branch will point to the penultimate Git commit. Once I do that, I'm going to create another, let's do a very simple change in here. I'm not sure what to change. Let's fix something, even if it's just for the purpose of this demonstration. KCalc has everything you would expect from a scientific calculator, plus trigonometric functions, logic operations, and statistical calculations. Let's say that and must be preceded by a colon. It's just an example. I will not do this commit. I'm just showing how a git commit would be done. I am using the git project, and the git project comes with a command line like this, and also comes with a graphical user interface application which is called Git GUI, which I actually install on my computer, and I actually use on all operating systems that I use. On all of the operating systems that I use for programming, which includes also Windows and Linux, etc., Git is available, the binaries from the Git project, but also this graphical user interface application, Git GUI. So let's see how I do the Git commit. There's a KDE Git repository, tilde/kd/src/kcalc. It's a Git repository because we can see that remote -v shows that there's a remote of this Git repository. So there's a local Git repository and another Git repository with the exact same content in invent.kd.org. And there's a relationship between these two identical Git repositories. The local one has a relationship to the one in invent.kd.org, and that relationship is called origin. And you can see it here under remotes. It says remote fetch from origin. Remote. You can add a second remote. Okay. We can look at the history. So there's a git commit. Both branches, the local one and the remote one, point to the same git commit. We're going to create a git commit. How we do that? We have a file that's changed. We're going to stage it. So right now there's readme.md to just one character changed. I'm going to move the file readme.md from unstaged changes to staged changes, which means I'm going to click on the icon. Now the file is staged. I'm going to create a git commit message starting with a title. My titles start with where. In this case, just one file has been changed, so I'm going to put the name of the file as where, and then the text for the title. And would be would because I don't know how to spell preceded readme.md and should have a comma. Commit. Now we're going to look at the history again from Git GUI main menu repository visualize all branch history. So the remote master is pointing to the same git commit, and then there's a new git commit that only the local master git master branch is pointing to. So this is not enough. Where was that thing discussed? In here, take a look at infrastructure GitLab. Okay, so this is how to use GitLab to write towards GitLab, not to read from GitLab. You don't need to do anything special you just use KDE-builder to read from GitLab from invent.git.org. In your case, you need to fork the Git repository that you want to write to, which in this case is called kcalc. These are the buttons that you need to press. I'm special. I don't need a second Git repository in invent.git.org in order to write to invent.git.org, so I don't need forks. So I'm going to skip over these steps. Git remote -v in my case shows just 2 lines, not 4. I'm going to make a branch. How do I make the branch? Right click on the git commit, create new branch. What the name of the branch should be, it should start with work, at least in my case. The username nmariusp, username being the username that I have in invent.kde.org, so this guy, nmariusp. Okay, and then what? What meaning and comma. Next up, I want to make sure that the new Git branch is checked out. So right click on the new branch and check out this branch, which will make the text bold. So the text master origin is not bold, the text master local is not bold. The only one that's bold is work/nmariusp/and comma. Next up, I'm going to click on the rescan button because it says current branch is master, which is wrong. So I'm going to go rescan, and now the current branch is the correct one, work nmariusp and comma. I have a good commit message. I have read all of the possible articles about how to create good commit, git commit messages, good git commit message titles. Okay. I'm not using keywords. Such a keyword is bug because I'm not actually using Bugzilla. KDE Bugzilla, I don't look at it, but you should definitely look at. And then I'm going to do this thing, git push fork my awesome feature. So this is the syntax for the command line git push where this is a remote and this is the name of a branch. So in my case, the branch is work nmariusp and then comma, and the remote is not named fork, but origin. And instead of using the command line git push, I'm going to use the graphical user interface application git GUI. So remote push, correct branch selected, so correct local git branch is selected, the correct remote is selected, which is origin, and then you go click on the push button. After you have pushed, it invites you to create a merge request. It says in here, but if you navigate to the invent.kde.org Git repository URL for kcalc, you can use your fork, but you can also use the official KDE Git repository of kcalc. There will be a button in there. It's going to say, hey, you have just pushed some changes and a branch. don't you want to create a GitLab merge request towards invent.kde.org/utility/kcalc from your branch towards the Git master branch? Do review everything, and then there's a create merge request button. Submit merge request, this one. Okay, so that would be your very first very small local change in the kcalc Git repository, a very small Git commit, a very small GitLab merge request, and maybe it gets approved and merged or not. You're going to maybe get requests to improve your merge request from other people, reviewers, maintainer of the project, etc. This is an important setting to make. Disable indexing for your development environment. Let's see how that is done. Says that you should start system settings, which is an application from KDE Plasma, this guy. You should go search, file search. I don't know where to find it. I always go searching directly. So search, file search, and stop indexing a folder if file indexing is enabled, or uncheck file indexing to be disabled. In my case, in the Ubuntu Linux operating system, as far as I know, file indexing is always disabled, which means that there will not be churn. If file indexing is enabled on the directory ~/kde, that's a really bad thing, because when you build software using KDE Builder, thousands of files are being touched, modified, deleted, created inside ~/kde per second. And once new files are changed, deleted, or added, so create, update, delete operations happen on one file in ~/kde, then a search index is being notified, hey, there's a new file in ~/kde. Do you want to index it, to add it to the files, to the quick file search index? And it will say yes. Give me the name of the file, give me the permissions of the file, give me the type, the extension, the body of the file. It's going to add it to the index, which will take a ton of time, a ton of milliseconds. It will churn the file system, the file search index, for no reason, because the file will be deleted instantly. That's how a compiler works. It creates a ton of files instantly, it removes them in a second later, etc. So make sure that the directory ~/kde is excluded from operations that take time, such as antivirus checks, intrusion detection, system checks, file system search indexes, etc. Okay, this is at the chapter how to improve your knowledge about KDE Builder, how to learn additional command line parameters to KDE-builder. We have seen KDE Builder --run runs kcalc correctly, because it sources prefix.sh first, and then it runs kcalc. You should not build KDE Plasma when you start programming for KDE. That's because it's a very complicated Git repository using complicated dependency chains. It's one of the more complicated KDE Git repositories. Find a simpler one to start programming for KDE. There's a wide variety of applications that are 100 times simpler than the KDE Plasma desktop. find it in here in apps.kde.org and try doing a git commit and a merge request, a small one, first on the simpler KDE applications, not on the complicated KDE frameworks or KIO or the KDE Plasma desktop. There's certainly an application in here that's way easier to comprehend and has extremely few number of source code lines compared to the KDE Git repositories that are way more complicated, or that use a plugin technology such as system settings. At this point, you should know how to use KDE Builder. You have used it for at least 10 hours. You know how to use Qt Creator to load a project that was built using KDE Builder correctly. You have used that for at least 10 hours. You have done various small improvements, small git commits, small merge requests. You know how to write to the KDE Git repositories. It's time to actually start the content of this video, which is how do we do merge requests in less than 2 hours. And for that, we go to my wiki page nmariusp.github.io, the last URL in here, the community.kde.org wiki, user:nmariusp. And in here, there's this chapter, I know how to program using C++. Can I do a KDE merge request in less than 2 hours? And this is the page. And all of the ideas that I had, I applied, and I managed to do merge requests in less than 2 hours are on this page. This page is mostly about trying your luck in a variety of KDE Git repositories, so not getting stuck on just I only want to contribute to this KDE Git repository, but I want to contribute to any KDE Git repository that is a graphical user interface application, and maybe also the KDE websites. There's some categories of KDE Git repositories that probably I'm not using, such as the applications that are not maintained, the applications that are still Qt 5, not Qt 6 yet. But for the rest, if I can improve them, I will, because this is what I want to do, is to contribute 2 hours per week, each and every week. And if I am contributing for 2 hours, let's do at least one merge request, possibly even more. So I'm not doing bug fixes that require 10 developer hours, because that would mean 5 development weeks, which would mean 1 month. So that means I do only one merge request per month. That's way too little for me. I'm doing something very different, which is many small merge requests per hour, because I'm only contributing for 2 hours. I don't want to work on the same thing for weeks and maybe not get to a merge request ever. Okay, one of the very first things that you can do, again, is make sure then that you build many KDE Git repositories, and maybe one fails to build. Why might it fail to build? Because, for instance, a KDE library has been changed. This application that you're building now is using that library and has not been updated to use the library correctly. Maybe one C++ exported function, method, symbol was marked deprecated, and now the application that you have built using KDE Builder for a while has generated build warnings, and now the build warning was turned into a compiler error. There's macros that allow you to configure if you want a deprecated symbol to be a build warning or a build error. And now it builds. It fails to build using KDE Builder. KDE Builder tells you that, provides you a debug log. You can see exactly the file that fails to compile, the C++ translation unit that fails to build. So you know exactly the CPP file where the error is. It tells you probably also the line and column where the error is. It's probably tells you everything, like this symbol is deprecated, please use something else instead. The change might be easy, you might be able to do it in less than 2 hours. Do that. Do a small change, make sure the build is fixed, but then also run the application. Make sure that you haven't introduced an issue. Run the change code in the debugger. See that nothing has changed from the previous version of the source code. Do a small git commit and a small merge request. If you're building hundreds of git modules per those 2 hours, then you just might be lucky and find a module that stopped building, even if it built correctly the previous week. Next up, we can build a Git repository using KDE Builder. There's another integrated development environment called CLion, where you can analyze the entire project and then you can fix some issue in there. Let's see, for instance, in our example, we have selected randomly a KDE Git repository. In apps.kde.org, it was kblocks. This guy. We find out that the name of the KDE Builder module is kblocks, so let's build it. KDE-builder kblocks. "32 modules to build, but most of them have already been built, so it will take 0 seconds to CMake, configure, compile, and install." And now we're at module 31 out of 32, the penultimate module. I have screen recordings on YouTube about how to install CLion. There's one from September 2023, but I also have newer ones. I have from August 2025. From December 2025, I actually installed CLion by installing another application first. So first I installed the application JetBrains Toolbox, and then the application JetBrains CLion. But you can see in the video from December 2025 about JetBrains Toolbox. You can see how I load a Git repository, a KDE Git repository after I build it using KDE Builder in CLion, for instance, in this YouTube video. But I have also older versions of this thing, how to install CLion and how to program for KDE using CLion. Let's see if the module has built correctly. Yes, let's run it. KDE builder -run kblocks. It ran correctly, which means that the Git repository's path in GitLab ends with kblocks, but also means that the executable is kblocks all lowercase. Although the display name inside the window title bar is kblocks with a different capitalization, the actual Unix executable in ~kd/usr/bin is kblocks with all lowercase. And you can see that, for instance, if you look at a list of running processes, ps minus aux, without minus, ps aux. And then in here we can search for blocks. And it's indeed lowercase k and lowercase b. Let's see that the application works. Whoa, so this is Tetris. I don't know what the keyboard key is for. Okay, I know. I know now. So space is to fall down. And arrow key is to rotate or move left, right. How do we pose? Okay. So there's a product manual. Maybe the product manual is not that great. Maybe there's something that we can improve in here. Maybe there's a text displayed that's not great. So points, lines, level, easy, medium, hard. I actually proofread things by actually reading all of the text that I can see in front of my eyes. Single game, pause, quit, game, single game, human versus AI. Shouldn't there be a dot after VS? How do other KDE applications behave? Do they have a VS? Do they say versus? VS dot or versus? What's the better alternative in this text, human versus AI? So this is Chicago style title capitalization. All uppercase except very short words and some words like is. Okay, back to where we were. So it says that using the C-Line application, which you have just learned how to install and how to make it open a KDE Git repository correctly, you can use this integrated development environment C-Line to analyze the entire project. Let's do that. So in KDE Plasma main menu, there should be an application called C-Line. It opened another project by default, file, close project. Okay. So I do not know by heart how to use C-Line, and I always read my wiki page when I use C-Line. This way, if something has changed, I can improve my wiki page. So let's see, this is how to install it. I did that. How to run the first run. I did that. I did the keyboard layout, hopefully. I have built the KDE Git repository, which is key blocks in this case, using KDE Builder. And now I should build it again, but with these command line parameters added. Where is it on? In the first tab. So KDE Builder, K-blocks, and no SRC, no include dependencies, refresh, build, and debug. You should know by now most of the KDE Builder command line parameters, so you should know that no SRC means that it doesn't do anything in tilde/kd/src/kblock, so it doesn't do git operations. No include dependencies, it means that it will not build libkd games, kd basket dons, kcrash, etc. Just this part, games, kblocks, nothing else. Refresh build means that it will do some cleanup inside the directory tilde/kd/build/kblocks. So it will do a full rebuild, not an incremental build. It's a full rebuild, but not a the fullest possible rebuild. The fullest possible rebuild is to actually Ninja uninstall such that you remove from tilde/k/usr all of the build artifacts of kblocks. Then you delete the directory tilde/kd/build/kblocks, and then you go kde-builder kblocks with the command line parameter --refresh--build. Debug means very verbose output from kde-builder. kde-builder by default will only list 5 lines, 7 lines in here, but using --debug, it will list thousands of lines. So I press enter, and I should stop the output when it starts compiling. So it starts compiling when it says something out of something. So 1/107. This is part of the compilation step, which is Ninja or CMake build. And before that was the output from a part of the output from the CMake configure step, which starts here where it says CD and ends here where it says CD. Okay, look at the output, write down the part similar to CD and then end CD. So this part. I have a text editor installed in here, which is KDE Kate. Okay. And it says open project. Within C-Lion, open, and we should select tilde/kd/src/ the name of the project /cmake list.txt. So these things is actually kblocks. tilde/kd/src/kblocks/cmake list.txt, open as a project. Open as project. Okay. It didn't ask me if I want to trust because I trusted before the directory tilde/kd/src. In the C-Lion main menu file settings, it's already opened that page for me in the application C-Lion. We want the build directory, which is this thing, and put it into build directory colon. Next up, CMake options, we copy this command line, CMake configure command line, but we ignore the parts CMake and -b, which is the build directory, the current directory, and the source code directory. So we keep the rest, starting from -uppercase G Ninja. Okay. So we did this part, so paste it into the edit box CMake options column. And then it says the rest of the lines, which is these ones with setting. We should convert them by doing some replacements. So we replace this part with nothing. Control R and then replace all. We replace this part with equals. Control R, tab, equals, replace all. And then this file should be saved with this file name. Save as, Control V, save, overwrite. We will need the content of this file in multiple places. We want the content of this file to be copied to the clipboard. Control A, right click, copy. In C-Lion environment, this guy, button on the right side of the edit box with tooltip edit environment variables, shift enter, click on it and click on the button with the tooltip paste, press OK, this guy, paste, OK. OK. We can keep the directory tilde/kd/build/kblocks. Let's go to the CMake window. So CMake configure has already run correctly, has found all of the dependencies, so we don't actually need to do anything, but we could do a clean of the CMake configure step. There's this button with clear all, and then there's this button reload CMake project. So we'll skip this part, it's not really needed. And we don't want to run the application neither using the debugger, without using the debugger from C-line. So we actually stop here. We don't apply the chapter run. Okay, next up, what we do is this thing. So you should look at this screen recording, KDE source code proofreading using C-line. It's the screen recording of what I'm showing you right now. Do look at this screen recording and understand it. Okay, so it says that we're using C-line to open a KDE Git repository, and then there's a C-line analyze entire project thing, which is under problems Alt-6 tool window, project errors, inspect code, whole project, analyze. The integrated development environment JetBrains C-line is free for non-commercial use, and it's a very powerful resource. Thankfully, we can use it for programming for KDE. Does know C++, does know C, does know CMake, knows a bit about the Qt framework. Okay, there's all sorts of issues that it's going to encounter. This whole project analysis from C-line. Maybe you know how to fix one type of issues. You should learn which of the issues are not actually issues, such that you can ignore them. From now on. So it looks inside SVG files and says that this URL doesn't use HTTPS. I don't know how to fix this issue, so I'm going to ignore it from now on. HTTP links inside SVG files. We're not going to edit files which are external, which are not part of this KDE Git repository, such as the text of the GPL version 2 license. The command subdirs is deprecated. What should we replace this thing with? Use add subdirectory since version 3. What is the minimum version of CMake that we support? Let's see. tilde/kd/src kblocks is the directory where kde-builder has git cloned this git repository kblocks. In here there should be a file cmakelist.txt, the top level file, where the CMake version that's required should be specified on the very first line. That's not a comment. So CMake minimum required version 3.16, and subdirs is deprecated since version 3.0, and we're using the minimum 3.11, which means add subdirectory has been available all this time. So says subdirs testing, and we should use add subdirectory. I don't know how to use add subdirectory, but I know how to find out. I can look at the directory ~kd/src. There's a ton of KDE Git repositories that have been Git cloned in here. There's KDE frameworks, KDE libraries, KDE graphical user interface applications. I have installed the application Microsoft Visual Studio Code, and if I run the command line code dot in the directory ~kd/src, it will open in Visual Studio Code the entire directory. Which means that I can search for how to use this new thing, which is instead of subdirs, I want add subdirectory. Control Shift F, Control V. So let's see how it works. Like add subdirectory and no string inside, so no double quotes. Is there something for testing or tests? Yes, there is such a thing. Add subdirectory for tests. Okay. Let's see where this file is. ctest test file. Where is it located? Select open file. This button in the project Alt+1 tool window. Select open file, Alt plus Shift 1, and then 1 again. So inside of the directory testing, there should be a top level cmake file, whatever cmake file, and that's ctest test file instead of being named cmake files.txt. Yeah, I'm not sure if testing and match case and whole world. Isn't it already included inside the cmake file? And I don't find it anywhere. Okay, but I don't trust searching for files in anything else than Visual Studio Code. So okay, blocks. Control Shift F, Control V. Add subdirectory testing. Oh, it's already included. It's a cmake generated test file. What? So in tilde/kd/build. Okay, so you should ignore all of the files from the tilde/kd/build directories, because these are auto-generated. If you just delete the directory tilde/kd/build/k blocks, everything will compile, install, run correctly. So from all of the inspection results, if the file where you should improve is inside tilde/kd/build, just ignore the warning. Use preferred auto style. I don't have a preference for auto, so I'm not applying these type of fixes. Exclude. Wow. Static analysis clang tidy. This method can be made static because it will still be a qt test, cmake test, ctest, and doesn't actually depend on the state of the object test basic. So you could do this. Let's see. Make member function static. Okay. So I have just clicked on a light bulb inside C-line. It applied the correct, hopefully, change. So it didn't change the equivalent of the CPP file, just the equivalent of the .h file. Okay. Next up, you want to see that this method is being run for that test. So the test is named test basic, and the method is test always successful. How do we run tests? I don't know. Let's see how do we run tests. kde-builder, kblocks, no src, no include dependencies. Refresh, build, debug. Let's see if there's a command for running tests. So it should execute, what I want is to execute Ninja test. So the target test for the Ninja file. So it run Ninja install. It run Ninja test. All tests ran successfully, but that's not enough. I actually want to look at the output from Ninja tests to make sure that what I want has run, which is I want test basic, and test basic did not run. Okay, let's undo the changes. Control Z, Control S, run the command line again, kde-builder kblocks ---- run tests with other command line parameters. Okay. Ninja install, run logged completed, and where is the basic? Unit test basic. I'm not sure if the test is being run. I haven't used Qt test yet. I haven't used cmake ctest yet. But what I would do, I would continue investing at least another half an hour to make sure that I can just run Ninja test, that I can just run C test, Q test, whatever, with way more verbose output than this. Maybe this file is just never included. ~kd/kd/src/kblocks/autotests/basic. Maybe this file is not included in the cmake list.txt file. So basic.cpp has the prefix unit test. So it's actually being run, but we don't know what the name of the method is. So we want more verbose output from Ninja test or from ctest or from qtest. So that's what I would do. Have more verbose output to see if before the change it says that test always successful method and xunit like test fails or not. And if I apply the change, it should still be run and it should still be successful. And there's a ton of other suggestions, like to make a ton of the methods const. Do invest maximum 2 hours for one such type of warning that appears massively in many places in most of the KDE Git repositories. Find out if the change is valid or not, if it's a progress if you do the change, if it fixes some very hard to trigger issue, and if so, if after you have tried to grok the concept and this warning, for instance, use equals default to define a trivial default constructor, should be applied or not. If it should, then it's easy. You just apply it. There's a button to do that, right? Don't change in many places. Change at least, change at most, I know, 20 lines in at most 4 files, such that you have a very small git commit, but a very focused one. You're not applying any other fix than this one. Use equals default to define a trivial constructor or destructor. Nothing else. You don't fix the issue everywhere in this entire project. You fix it in just a small number of places. If your git commit is very focused, very small, it's easy to be merged by a person from the KDE community, by a maintainer of this application. So your merge request will not stay open forever, for months and months. But again, do study, not just blindly apply fixes which are suggested by CLion or by the other static analysis tools used by CLion, such as clang-tidy in this case. Do invest at least 1 hour, and if not, if you're not actually sure even after an hour if the fix makes sense or not, just don't do it. Don't do a git commit, don't create a merge request, put this type of warning in the list of warnings that you have heard of, but you don't know if the fix should be applied or not. You should have such a list where you say clang-tidy, use equals default to define a trivial default constructor. I have invested 60 minutes. I don't know if I should apply it at all. And I'm going to ignore this type of warning for the next 24 months. Wow. While set current piece. And this thing, how does this thing end? Hiding local declaration. Yeah, this is a trivial one. If you have studied programming in high school for 4 years or in university for 3 years, you know that inside the for that uses int I, you should have another for that uses int, I know, something else. So int I, and then inside there's an int j. And if it were inside, that would be an int k, but then this int j is on the same level as another 4. So it's not clear that this thing should be a k. But it certainly should not be an I, but probably a K, right? Let's see if there's a button for that. Max lines. One line. And there might even be some spaces in here, right? When you start a repetitive structure, you should have a new line before that thing. Okay, so this issue appears 3 times. So fix this issue in all of the 3 places and do a git commit and a merge request. It's always max lines, right? Nope. This should be 1 line. And this other thing should be what? Cell count. K blocks piece cell count. 1 cell. Like this. And that's it. I have fixed the exact same issue in 3 different places. I'm going to copy the text of the warning, Control C, and use it in the git commit message. Okay, let's see how we do the git commit. We can do it straight from here, from the terminal. tilde/kd/src/s/k blocks, correct directory. Git GUI. Don't forget the end ampersand, which will free your bash terminal. So this thing I'm not going to commit. From the Git GUI main menu, commit revert changes. And then max lines 1 line. Cell count 1 cell. And the changes are probably correct because the tool did those. Commit revert changes. Okay, so just one file changed. And what we did was who found this error? Probably Sea Lion. Okay, this is too long for a git commit message title. That should be limited to 60 characters. But I don't know how to create any other git commit message than this one. Commit, remote fetch from origin, repository visualize all branch history, right click, create new branch, work, username, Okay. I is hidden. Create, right click on the new branch, check out this branch, make it bold. Wrong branch here, click on the rescan button. Look again at the history. So the correct Git branch, local one, the correct Git message title, the correct Git commit body. And at this point, we should actually build the project again. So I'm going to close CLion and all Visual Studio codes. And I'm going to build, which command line is this guy. And I'm actually going to do a very full build. So I'm going to delete the directory ~kd/build kblocks. And then kde-builder kblocks, no src, no include dependencies, refresh, build, debug. Make sure it builds correctly. Make sure, so CMake configure step works correctly. Ninja, which is building, works correctly. Ninja installing works correctly. And then we're going to run the application and make sure nothing evident is broken. Okay. KDE-builder --run kblocks. Single game. Yay. Pause. Help kblocks handbook. Settings, configure kblocks. Oxygen. Close. Find action. Clear history. Seems to work okay. Show high scores. Okay. I don't have anything to say. I don't see any compilation errors. Even the 107th C++ translation unit or other build generation has been executed. There's no building errors. I don't know what other tests to perform, so I'm kind of confident that this git commit is okay. Git GUI, and I'm going to push remote push close. Okay, let's see that. KDE invent kblocks. It says that I have just pushed a git branch named I is hidden to this git repository. Do I want to create a merge request? Yes. Correct merge request title, which is exactly the title of the git commit message. Just one git commit. I go to the changes, and it's the changes that I expect, and click on merge request. Again, make sure that you're writing to the correct place. So invent.kde.org/game/kblocks, the correct branch, master branch, and from the correct Git repository, and from the correct GitLab project, and from the correct branch. So this should be it. I just did a git commit and a git push and a merge request. So that was proof that there's power inside the integrated development environment C-line in the part where C-line analyzes the entire project and helps you create valid merge request. So it was a progress, right? We have fixed a static analysis warning, a build warning, a C-lang tidy error. The error was evident. It's not a functional error. It doesn't manifest itself as an actual bug that the user can encounter, but it does make everything harder to follow. And for code reviewers, it's hard when I is reused inside the body of the for loop. It's a net progress, but unfortunately it will need some manpower from me to create the git commit merge request, from the people that review the merge request. So do make sure you're not abusing your time and the time of the people that review your git commits. Make sure they're valid and that they progress the source code of the Git repository in the correct direction. So they improve the correction, improve the quality of the source code, even if the improvement is extremely small. Okay, next up we can proofread a KDE handbook, and that was just the example, right? Where the application that we have just run, KeyBlocks, does have a product manual. Product manuals in KDE are called handbooks. Most of the Qt framework applications, the applications from the KDE community that don't use QML and use Qt widgets, will use a KDE framework that's named the KXML GUI and should have a product manual or a handbook. So KBlocks is a Qt widgets application, does use KXML GUI, does have a product manual. The product manual says that it's copyright more than 10 years ago, so it might have some issues. Might be the content of the handbook might be older than the actual presentation of the application at the current moment. If the application has some changes that are not yet reflected in the handbook, then that's a chance to contribute. Other than that, you can actually read all of the text and make sure there's no grammar errors and other errors like that. Okay, so there's this handbook, the KBlocks. Let's see how we do that. So it says that we should open apps.kde.org. Let's do that. Find the application, KBlocks. This guy. So we have documentation on the right half of the screen, work on the left half of the screen. Work means, in this case, to follow exactly what the documentation says. So we have found the correct page. On the right side of the web page, there's Get Help. Where is that? Get Help. This is Get Help. KBlocks Handbook. Correct. Open the PDF version. This click. Okay. And then we're going to select all of the text. So that's Control A or right click select all. Then we want to copy, right click copy. And then we're going to use the Google Docs application to do proofreading, to check for grammar, spell checking, etc. issues. This is a Google Docs document that I have just for this purpose. It's called spell check. Control A, delete, Control V, or we should Control Shift V. Control Shift V is paste without formatting, but when you copy from PDFs, it's already going to be plain text if you use as a PDF viewer, as I do Mozilla Firefox. Okay, so I have a Google Doc. There's other tools possible for grammar. There's LibreOffice Write, Microsoft Word, Grammarly, etc. This is just an example, a tool that I'm using, Google Docs. You could use something even better or something that will provide different spelling and grammar checks. So Google Docs main menu, Tools, Spelling and Grammar check. Okay, this is the problem where copying from PDFs adds additional new lines, wrong new lines. So Google Docs thinks that there's a new line here, and it's not, the down arrow. So this is a false positive because we pasted incorrectly. Can eventually fix this one. The following sections briefly describes each menu options. This is the perfect moment to contribute. The following sections briefly describes each menu bar option. Where is that? Next. We should look inside the PDF. The following sections briefly describes each menu bar option. Let's see. Sometimes the issue has been fixed in the Git repository, for instance, in kblocks, but the PDF has not been generated in years, and maybe it has issues that don't exist in the Git repository. Kblocks, this is the time for Visual Studio Code. So I'm using at least 3 integrated development environments at the same time on the same Git repository. I'm using KDE Kate, Visual Studio Code, Qt Creator, and CLion. Control Shift F describes like this and like that. So match case and match whole word. The following sections briefly describe each menu bar, or maybe there's just one section. How many sections are there? The following sections briefly describe each menu bar options, commands, keyboard shortcuts. Commands, keyboard shortcuts. Each menu bar option. Yeah, it's the paragraph is in the wrong place. Yep. So there should be sub-chapter menu items, and then it should say the following menu items, and then game. The fix should be like this is a file format which is called docbook, which I don't know. So I'm guessing and doing my best in here. I'm going to keep it well formatted as an XML. And then as a test, I should regenerate the documentation, maybe also the PDF, and see if this text moves in here between 4.1 and game single game. Chapter, command, title, commands, keyboard shortcuts, section, menu, title, menu items, paragraph. The following sections briefly describe each menu bar option. And the same thing should exist for default keyboard shortcuts. Let's see if that's the case. So it says sect1, ID keys, title, and then para, and then a table. Let's see if the same thing is on the previous chapter. So section, title, paragraph, and then a variable list with many entries. Yes, this change seems very valid to me. The following sections briefly describe each menu bar option. The English has improved also. It's in the correct place. Next up, I need to, again, build the documentation, read the documentation, and make sure it's the change has been applied and the way I wanted it. I'll park this issue. I'll create the git commit, and then I'll create the test, the change, and do the merge request at a later point. So let's see how we do that. There's a terminal in Visual Studio Code 2, control backtick, git GUI. The problem in here is that we should always start from the remote master branch. Okay, so we're going to fix that. This is how the problem looks like. The remote master branch has the child, and then I'm going to create another child git commit, which is wrong. The new git commit should be independent of the is hidden merge request. So our git commit should be on top of the origin master branch, not on top of work nmariusp I is hidden git branch. Let's see how we fix that. There's plenty of ways to do it. One of the ways is to just copy paste the git repository directory. Kblocks new. Okay. So in kblocks new we have the changes as we want them. In kblocks we will have the git master branch. Commit revert changes, remote fetch from origin, repository visualize all branch history, right click on the local git master branch, check out this branch, click on the git commit where the remote origin master branch is pointing towards, right click, reset master branch to here, part, okay. And now we can apply the change. Let's see how we can apply the change. For instance, we can use the difference viewer that I use, which is called meld. Only one file has been changed, /doc/index.docbook. The changes are from new towards not new. So new is this guy, the right-hand side, and not new is the left-hand side. So how do we do that? This I want from new to old. Advance to the next, and then from new to old. Save, Control S, clean, close, meld, and let's continue from where we went. From the correct directory, /kd/src/kblocks. The previous command, git GUI ampersand. I will stage the change. I will copy the file name with relative path. This is going to be where, and the what is following section briefly describes each menu bar options. Incorrect section. Incorrect chapter. Okay, and this should be it. Let's see if the history looks correct. So from the remote master branch, there should be one git commit, and we did the merge request for this one. And then from the remote master branch, there should be another git commit. There should be a git branch there. Create new branch. Doc book menu items para being a paragraph. Right click on the git branch, check out this branch, make it bold. Not present here, rescan. Let's look again at the git commit. So 1, 2, 3, and describes became describe. I can actually push the git commit, but I'm not going to create the git merge request until I actually test the change. And I'm going to test the change by actually building the PDF and reading and looking side by side, comparing this PDF, the older version, and the current version. Okay, so that was just 3 ideas. Build modules, make sure they continue building if they built 7 days ago. Use C-line to find issues. Proofread a KDE handbook, which is a product manual. There's many more ideas, and each idea should be accompanied by text, by the way I actually run the commands on my computer and they work. There should be instructions on how to install, in this case, the reuse tool, and how then to, maybe a month later, to continue using that tool. So the initial install is the one thing, and then reuse the same tool that you installed previously is a different thing, and we should have 2 code blocks for these 2 things. Reuse. There's a wiki page, there's a software project that makes sure that each file, including PDF files, PNG files, JPEG files, C++ source code files, QML files, .ui files, etc. All of the files that exist in a KDE Git repository. Specify what the license is of that file and who is the copyright owner in a very standardized way. And this tool actually checks all of the files, makes sure that these two things are specified in a way that can be parsed correctly by the software you use, and abide by some rules. We have a wiki page for that. There's the software. This is the way I check. So you could use kde-builder to build one module and then use the reuse tool on just one directory. Or you could use that thing on multiple directories. You could git clone more KDE Git repositories using kde-builder, and then, for instance, write a bit of Python source code that traverses ~kd/src, enters into one directory, runs this and that, and puts the findings somewhere. The findings will be build warnings. Will be static analysis tool warnings. Okay. Then when building most KDE Git repositories, there will be C++ build warnings, compiler warnings. We use two C++ compilers. There's G++ from the GNU compiler collection, GCC from the GNU project, and there's clang++ from clang LLVM project. They produce different C++ build warnings, so you can run a building a KDE Git repository using C++, but with very verbose build output from the C++ compiler, like this, no src, and then refresh build and ---- debug. Put the standard output and standard error from G++ somewhere, and then in there search for error, for warning. If you open the file in Kate, the KDE Advanced Text Editor, probably Kate will notify you where the warnings are in that file. They will be shown red or orange in here in the mini map in the scroll bar. So there's a bit of help there. Okay. And then from the build warnings, do similar to what we did with C-line. Find one that you can understand very correctly in less than 1 hour. One that if you change, it's going to create a progress in the source code. And then apply that in a few places inside the same Git repository. Do a git commit, git merge request. And if that gets accepted, apply that fix onto many other KDE Git repositories. Do one small git commit, one small merge request per each of the Git repositories. And if you do this, if you find a build warning that's easy to understand and needs to be changed, then there's chances that that warning exists in many KDE Git repositories, in many files. So there's a chance to create tens of merge requests within 2 hours. So for 1 hour, you understand the issue and prepare your scripts or your terminal incantations that provide you with the knowledge of, does this KDE Git repository, if I compile it using G++, does it have this issue, this C++ compiler warning? If so, in which file, at which line? Okay, then whatever you do with the G++ compiler, you should also do with clang++, because clang++ issues different C++ compiler warnings than G++. There's clang tidy, static analysis issues. You have seen them in CLion. Also, the other integrated development environment Qt Creator will show them. There's a command line executable clang tidy that you can run that will find issues in any of the KDE Git repositories. Again, find one type of issue that you can understand in less than 1 hour, and it's a progress. Do a small Git commits. If they get accepted, apply to more places, more KDE Git repositories, more files. There's another static analysis tool, which is called PVS Studio. I have a number of screen recordings. I should have screen recordings with all of these issues. If I don't have, do ask me to create one screen recording. Or maybe I have the screen recording, but I did not present it in this wiki page. For instance, this is the screen recording for CLion Analyze Entire Project. So I have for PVS Studio. So let's see for warnings if I have for build warnings. I don't. For PVS Studio, I have more than one. I have 4. So do read this chapter, but also do watch my screen recordings and do what I do in these YouTube videos. Okay. Then what for CLion? Yes, you can integrate PVS Studio inside CLion, and this is the screen recording, PVS Studio and CLion for KDE development tutorial. If you don't use CLion, you can still use PVS Studio, like in here and here and here. 3 YouTube videos. CPP check is both a standalone command line tool. There's also a CPP check GUI from the same project, from CPP check. But there's also integration of CPP check inside Qt Creator, like in this video. Easy KDE contribution, fix CPP check issues inside Qt Creator. Or this guy. The videos are older, which means that integration with Qt Creator might not work. Maybe newer versions of CPP check have broken the integration with Qt Creator. I have my screen recordings mentioned here in the wiki page in the chapter for fix CPP check static analysis issue. Then there's CLazy. There's 2 tools with very similar names. There's CLazy and then there's Crazy. So CLazy with a C, 1, 2, and maybe 3. This is also a good screen recording to look at. What to do after you can build a module using KDE SRC build or KDE builder. Okay, the other one is Crazy. I have a recent screen recording about it. This from November 2025. Alan Winters, Crazy with a K. For this chapter. Whenever the state of art for programming from the Qt people changes. There will be in the KDE source code that uses the old syntax and the new syntax. Like in this case, there's the new signal slot syntax. Do find the old one and do understand this page and what needs to be changed from what to what. Find the old syntax in two places in the same KDE Git repository, do two changes, do a git commit, do a merge request. If that gets accepted, then apply the exact same type of fix into other places in the same Git repository or in other Git repositories. Okay, this provides examples for clang format, clang tidy, crazy. Wow. There's a ton of other deprecated symbols, but if you're using them, a C++ warning should be generated by both G++ and clang++. If they're marked correctly as deprecated in the KDE source code or in the C++ source or in the Qt source code. There's some macros that you can set for Qt source code such that when your KDE Git repository is built, less build warnings are being generated. And some of these are actually changed in CMake lists files. So some KDE Git repositories build with a set of Qt warnings, others build with other set of Qt warnings. So do exclude one of the warnings from the list of, so for instance, Dolphin has Qt no cast to ASCII, which means that it will generate, I don't know, 20 less C++ compiler build warnings when you build it using kde-builder. Do remove this line and see how 20 extra C++ build warnings are being generated and try to fix those. If you can fix all 20, great, then you can also remove this line. If not, just fix, I don't know, 5 of them. Do a git commit, do a merge request. In the next one, do the rest 15. And then in a third one, you can remove, in a third git commit, git merge request, you can actually delete this line from this place in this file. This thing. There's a linter for QML. QML means files with extension QML. The command line would be something like this. Find in the current directories, files, so not directories, minus type F, that have a name like the glob, anything.qml. For each of the files that you find, call the command line QML lint and then the name of the file. Okay, QML scene is an advanced topic, ignore it. There's a linter for CMake. You can use it to find some issues in QML files from a random KDE Git repository. I have a screen recording for that. CMake minimum required should be the first known comment in the top level CMake list.txt file in all KDE Git repositories. And then you can also contribute to something else than KDE Git repositories. You can contribute to the KDE wikis. As I said, I have many contributions to the KDE wiki page from here, from community.kde.org. So these are the newer 500, and they're from the last 2 years, 3 years. So I have around, I don't know, 1000 page edits. So do find a random page, like I say in here. There's this URL which takes you to a random page, and do read it and see, maybe there's an issue with this page. The page was proposed for deletion, which is okay. Maybe ask why didn't we yet delete this page, even if it was marked for deletion. More than 10 years ago. So more than 10 years ago, we asked that this page be removed, and it's still not removed. So there's a metrics page for the www, for the web pages of the KDE community. Do join that metrics room and ask for this exact page. What can we do such that it gets removed because it was marked for to be deleted 10 years ago? Using Google Doc, you can proofread random wiki pages. Let's actually do that. Qt 5 documentation example list. Wow, why do we have a Qt 5 documentation? Wow, it contains a list of examples that we need to go through and triage. Qt 3D is deprecated and was never used in KDE Git repositories. Broken on Mac. What is this? Yeah, this page needs to be marked for deletion. It's some work in progress of some person. I'm not sure why it's in this wiki page. Maybe more than one person has worked. But it should be on the Qt communities wiki page, not on the KDE communities wiki page. Wow. Okay. Let's ignore that. Plasma Media Center release 1.4. We don't change very historical information like change logs and various KDE meetings. Amarok header. What is that? Somehow Amarok has a wiki page in here. Pause. Everything's under construction. Okay, maybe. Oh, the page was last edited in 2013. We should either mark this page for deletion or at least mark it as a very old page. Okay, next up. Yes, the wiki page uses the MediaWiki software, which is used by Wikipedia itself. And the markup, the source code that's behind any wiki page, it's not markdown source code, but it's MediaWiki markup. And for instance, we should not use chapter 1. We only start with equals equals. Next up, you can contribute to the various KDE packaging, KDE software packaging efforts. There's an effort to make sure that KDE software builds and runs correctly on macOS, on Android, on KDE Plasma mobile phone, ARM and x86-64, macOS, Apple Silicon, and AMD 64. I said Windows, Android, again Android, ARM 64 and x86-64 for various Linux operating systems, so you can help creating deb packages for the Debian Ubuntu family, RPM packages, RPM specs for the Fedora Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system family, for the family OpenSUSE SUSE, for the family Arch Linux, and for other KDE other Linux operating systems. Then for non-Linux operating systems, FreeBSD, NetBSD, OpenBSD, for Haiku, there's all sorts of other operating systems that, for instance, package most of the KDE frameworks and some KDE applications. So by packaging means going to that community that creates an operating system and make sure as much as possible KDE software builds and runs correctly on that operating system and is provided as a precompiled build package native to that operating system such that users can easily install software. So KDE Craft is the technology that you use such that you can create Windows and SIS installers out of KDE graphical user interface applications, Linux app images, macOS bundles, okay. Then you can run the final build executable, such as the executable kcalc or the executable kblocks in a analyzer. So static analysis was about using a tool to look at the source code that's inside KDE Git repositories, but there's also tools that can look at the final executable. So kblocks. So the actual file tilde/kd/usr/bin/kblocks all lowercase. And such tools are GDB, the GNU debugger, Valgrind for multiple types of issues, not only memory leaks. So two tools, Valgrind and GDB. Then you can help with the upstream effort. Upstream effort means to have make sure that each KDE Git repository that represents a graphical user interface application, such as kcalc or kblocks, does have at least one file with extension appdata.xml or metadata info.xml that describes that executable graphical user interface application. And the structure and content of this XML file is as up to date as possible. There's this file is used in multiple places, is used in the App Store FlatHub, is used in the App Store Snap, in the Snap App Store, is used by apps.kde.org, the website that you have seen. This guy that lists all of the KDE graphical user interface applications. There's linters for this file format. There's requirements and recommendations both from the upstream project but also from the FlatHub project. And files named appdata.xml should be renamed to metainfo.xml. I'm not sure that there is at least one KDE Git repository that is for a graphical user interface application that doesn't have room for improvement in upstream. If you specialize on improving upstream, there's chances to do merge requests in any of the KDE Git repositories and multiple merge requests, and there's just one file to consider. Okay, so I should have a page, this guy, about how I improve upstream. Again, one of the low-hanging fruit, one of the more simple ways of doing merge commits, because merge requests, because metainfo.xml, appdata.xml is just an XML format. It's probably not going to break the build. Make sure you're not breaking the XML format, and use the tool upstream CLI to validate that XML is still valid. But other than that, there's multiple ways of helping each and every KDE Git repository that represents a KDE graphical user interface applications. There's other KDE Git repositories that are for libraries. And for libraries, we probably should not have upstream XML files. Okay. And that's most of those. There are other things that I look at. I help with the Snap packaging effort. And my wiki page for that is this one, nmariusp/snap. I help with the Flatpak, FlatHub efforts. I have screen recordings. I have some instructions for myself. And I don't have enough time to help with Android. From time to time, once per year or something like that, I run all of these. I try to see if KDE applications still build correctly on Android, if the wiki pages that are related to this effort are still up to date, if the wiki pages can be improved, if the various tools and procedures still works on my computer, and I create a screen recording from that. So for instance, for Android, there's screen recordings on how to run Android applications in two ways, using the application named Android Studio, which is the upstream official Android Google integrated development environment, and that tool has a Android emulator, which allows you to run a KDE Android APK application once you build it. In order to build it, you're using a special procedure which requires craft and cross-compiling. Or you can run the application by installing Android in the application that's called Waydroid. I have screen recordings both for Waydroid and for the Android emulator. This thing. I have videos about how to build KDE applications for Android. So you build the application and then you transfer it to inside the Android operating system that runs inside Android emulator from Android Studio or inside Waydroid. Okay. For AppStream, it's the two file formats. For Flatpak, this is the type of tests that I do, which is the page that we have for how to package KDE software for KDE graphical user interface applications for actually FlatHub, which is the App Store. So we use the application that also the upstream uses, which is called Flatpak Builder. We're installing from files that exist top level in any KDE Git repository that represents a graphical user interface application, which is called .flatpak-manifest.json. This will be built in a very isolated way. It will install all of the needed Flatpaks binary packages from FlatHub. It will install everything per user in this procedure, so -- user. I'm uninstalling all Flatpak packages. I'm adding the Flatpak remote just for the user, the current user, so it installs just in my home directory, nowhere else. FlatHub. I'm building and all of the needed dependencies will be downloaded and installed from FlatHub in my home directory. I'm running the build Flatpak build artifact. I can debug, I can enter the Flatpak container. So the Flatpak application runs inside the Flatpak container. The Flatpak container uses some containerizations, isolation technologies, BRAP, bubble wrap, I know, OS3, etc. And you can enter that Linux container using, for instance, -- command equals sh -- devel, and then you offer the current directory as file system. And then the name of the Flatpak. Flatpaks use as name reverse DNS notation. So org.kde.kdiamond for the example, which is the KDE game KDiamond. GDB, the GNU debugger is pre-installed in there. Debug symbols are pre-installed in there. Other toolchain build tools are pre-installed in there in this container, such as the C++ compiler, CMake, etc. There's GitLab CIs. So KDE uses inventokdee.org, which is a installation of GitLab on premise, and has not only KDE Git repositories, but GitLab projects, that each GitLab project has a Git repository, but there's also a wiki, issues, and GitLab CI, continuous integration. So each time you do a Git commit, if you do it to one of the branches, depending on the branch type, there will be some GitLab CI jobs run before the merge request is merged, and some GitLab CI jobs run after the merge request is merged. And from the possibility, there's all sorts of linting tools. There's reuse, there's JSON linting, upstream linting, and one of the possibilities is to build Android APKs, to build FlatHub packages, to the Android APKs that you build to be published into the F-Droid Android Alternative App Store, or to be published to the Google Store, the Google Play App Store, Android Store, or to create Linux app images, or to create Linux Flatpak packages that are published to a special KDE nightly Flatpak repository that we have, or to be published to the Flatpak official store, which is FlatHub, or to create Windows exe installers using NSIS technology, or to build macOS Silicon, Apple Silicon DMG installers, etc. So you can also help with KDE GitLab CI. You're mostly going to edit XML files and YML, AML files, and retrigger build jobs and do git commits such that the pipelines are being executed. You can help with publishing the various KDE applications in the various app stores, such as the Microsoft Windows App Store, the Google Play App Store, Android F-Droid App Store, FlatHub App Store, the Snap Store. So this is about it. This is a very long version, but a complete one that hopefully doesn't skip any steps on how to do a Git merge request that writes to a KDE Git repository in less than 2 hours. Hopefully that merge request is small, progresses the source code towards the future, fixes some issue, improves the source code somewhat, such that the merge request is easy to read and it's easy to be merged by a person from the KDE community. And this will make your GitLab account change colors. There's the progress that you have. This thing, the graph with month, week, day, and color, to make it as blue as possible. Yeah, it's not going to be all blue because we're only working 2 hours per week, which means there will be some blue once per week. But this is it. Some weeks maybe we're doing, in my case, I'm doing 0 merge requests, but I'm doing some edits to the wiki pages. And also many of my screen recordings, my YouTube videos are actually me contributing to the KDE community, me helping people start programming for KDE, which should also count as me working towards the KDE community and indirectly doing merge requests. If I'm not writing to the KDE Git repositories, I'm helping other people start contributing and start doing their merge requests. So indirectly, I'm helping with creating KDE merge requests. So this is it. Thank you.